some big doings in Major League Baseball today, which includes the West Coast, Joe Raineri. If you're up late watching round number 2, why not tune in to rotation 961, 962? That's the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers, a 10-10 start out in Chavez Ravine. The Pittsburgh Pirates throwing their ace, Paul Skenes, against Yamamoto. Maybe an ace there for the Dodgers. Look at this price point, Joe. Opened up at minus 215 with Skenes on the mound. You would think he might be a favorite. He's not. He's the dog. It's even higher right now at a minus 225 price for those Dodgers and a total of 7. But by the way, looking at statistics, Yamamoto's xFIP coming into today on the season, a 1.81. Phenomenal. Paul Skenes coming in at a 2.59. Really good here. 7 runs. I don't know if we get there, but in your mind, are we overrating this matchup, or is it just, hey, Pittsburgh, I don't think you can get very many base hits tonight?
Well, I mean, they just came off of a extra inning loss last night to the Angels, but they did win the series finally, Pittsburgh, which is great. They look like they finally started to hit the ball, but now you got to take a short, bus ride there to go to Chez Ravine and take on the Dodgers, which, let's be realistic, this is a totally different animal that they're going to be walking into. And as good as Skenes is, we've seen that, he's tends not to get the run support against better teams that he might against a team like the Angels. So Yamamoto, to your point, has been absolutely lights out here. And the bullpen of the Dodgers has also been great. So where are the runs coming from in this game is my question, because Pittsburgh's bullpen has actually been pretty decent over the last month here, Donnie. So to me, it's a dead under in this game. Good luck trying to figure out where the runs are coming from.
Exactly. Both pitchers in really good form. Pitchers ballpark tonight. And also, you take a look from a Pittsburgh perspective. I don't trust, it's not that I don't trust the bullpen. I know Skenes is probably giving me a good environment tonight. I know Yamamoto is going to do the same. Under 3.5 first 5 innings where they don't get the 4 runs, I think makes some sense in this one. Also, if you were on Pittsburgh last night, this is a 3.5 team total at a minus 150 price. Pretty expensive. 3 runs, Joe, by the end of the second inning for Pittsburgh on the road. Oh, they got this in the bag. Pittsburgh winds up with 3 runs in that game yesterday. Tough scene all the way through. I don't trust the bats on Pittsburgh's side, which means Yamamoto's going to have a good start. And then from a Paul Skenes perspective, I think over the first 5 innings, he can settle down those Dodger bats. Give me the under 3.5 to start that game. Game number 2 we'll take a look at. Let's keep it out in the state of California. 10-15 start. That's Texas. That's San Francisco. Eovaldi on the mound here for the Rangers, going up against Verlander, the veteran, for the Giants. This line opened up as a minus 118 price at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Dropped slightly to 116, but in all intents and purposes, really a pick'em game. 7s have turned into 7.5s on the total. Any thoughts out there in San Francisco, Texas, and San Francisco?
Yeah, Bruce Bochy, didn't he lead the Giants to a world championship way back when, too, as their manager? Now he's with the Rangers, taking in, and Verlander is 107 years old. So, yeah, there's a lot of legends at this ballpark here tonight. But the Rangers' bats continue to worry me here a little bit. And there is no doubt that this Giants team, much better offensively, I think, than we've given them credit for. So I would look for the Giants in this game early. I do think that the first 5, not a bad look for this Giants team, who's got the rest advantage here. I like Verlander really at home here, starting to come into his own. I like him to limit what is a struggling Texas lineup to begin with, who might not have Seager again.
Yep, correct. Yeah, so it is a damaged goods lineup per se. And also take a look at Nathan Eovaldi. Pretty good start to the season, though. 30 2/3 innings pitched, a 2.64 ERA and a 2.61 xFIP number. Let's see what those runs can be. 7.5 is the total. So that opening line was 7. So the betting market's adjusting, and actually people betting into the over, sending that up slightly higher. Third game we'll take a look at is actually the first game on the card today. That's the struggling Philadelphia Phillies. Got swept out of New York, one of the hotter teams in baseball, the New York Mets. We'll see what changes. And by the way, the Cubs, pretty good opening to the season, playing tough competition. Taijuan Walker on the mound had a great start to the season, fell off a little bit on his last start, to say the least, going up against the Cubs, Colin Ray. This line opened up as a slight favorite towards the Cubs at minus 126. You see the graphic here on TV, minus 130, Joe? It's actually minus 144 now as a favorite towards the Cubs, and other marketplaces as high as a minus minus 150 price. The total opened up at 8, still sits at 8 at FanDuel, but across the market, some 8.5s are starting to show. Cooler conditions in Chicago, wind blowing in, but the Phillies just not in the right space. Same thing as last year, Joe. Guys on base, can't drive them in. A tale as old as time for the fighting Phils.
And they nobody's hitting home runs for them. I mean, they have 21 home runs on the year, and I think there are 8 teams that have less than that, only 8 teams that have less than that. So you're right, Donnie. To your point, they get these guys on base, but they're not getting that big shot. If it's not Schwarber, who's got 7, or Bryce Harper, I think, who's got 5, where is everybody else? Where is Baum? Where's Trey Turner? Where is everybody else with the long ball here? I would have expected a little more power from this Philadelphia lineup, but you're not getting it, which is why we're kind of mired in a 4-game losing streak. And the Cubs, though, well, the Cubs are getting the hits and they're getting the power. And offensively, I get why the market is leaning towards them here. I still like the over, though, in this matchup.
Yeah, I always like to say, too, like, even if the wind's blowing in double digits in Wrigley, what, you can't get singles and doubles in that ballpark and score runs? You're not asking for 10.5. It's basically 8 at this point right now. But what the Phillies used to do so well was, let's get guys on base and go, well, they only score with home runs. Yeah, but they used to hit a lot of home runs at this point. They're not doing that. So now it turns into, I got a leadoff walk, then I got a base hit. It's first and third, 1 out. I strike out, I pop fly, and things just aren't working in that right direction. Now, a new chance for a new day for them to bounce back against the Cubs. But this isn't the old Cubs, man. Playing good baseball to start this season. And if we just look at the statistics today with Colin Ray, 13 2/3 innings pitched on the season, which isn't a lot. But how about a 1.32 ERA and an xFIP of 3.37? Now, if the Phillies bats break out, we could see some runs. If not, is this a 2-1 game at this point right now? We won't know. More baseball on deck. Don't you dare change that dial. Don't look now. The first pace Metropolitans here in the NL East taking on another NL team, the Washington Nationals. We're just looking to get some sort of a semblance of we play good baseball on a day-to-day basis. Got a fun young lineup in there, but today they are a decided underdog, and probably rightfully so. A 6:45 start, rotation 9:53, 9:54. The Mets take on the Nationals. Senga versus Irvin. You take a look at the opening number. Minus 186 here at the FanDuel Sportsbook has dropped slightly to minus 180 across the board. Minus 180s, minus 175s. But the runs opened up at 9, currently now sitting at 9.5 at FanDuel, as well as a couple other outlets as well. You take a look at Senga versus Irvin. Senga coming into the season, in the season, 22 2/3 innings pitched. How about an ERA of 0.79, but an xFIP of 4.02? Which means you say, boy, he's a dominant pitcher. I can't believe that number's high. That's why we see the 9.5 starting to creep up. Runs might be expected today, but the red-hot Mets taking on the Nats here, Joe.
Yeah, well, he's had some success, Senga, against this Nats team before, though a couple of years ago. But listen, the Mets have proven at Citi Field they're going to be a tough out, right? I mean, they just swept the Cardinals, they just swept the Phillies, but they're only 500 on the road this year, 6-6 here, and the Nats are still in the midst of a pretty good run here. The bats are going well for them. Mackenzie Gore just couldn't get any run support yesterday, and they were lucky. If it wasn't for a home run in the 5th inning, Baltimore, that was all they needed in order to win that game. But Nats at home here, until I see it from the Mets, that success at home has to translate to the road. I think this is a tough spot for them. I do like the Nats in this one to get out early. So I'll be looking to back them at plus money in the first 5.
Yeah, a slightly higher xFIP number here for Senga than Irvin here, but it's pretty close, 3.70 to 4.02. So technically, based on analytics, you might have the better pitcher on the mound, not name-wise, but it would be the Washington Nationals starter. But again, line up better for the Metropolitans, and also how good the Mets have been playing over the past couple weeks. I think, seven or 8 games in a row they've won at this point, looking to translate that into even more. And playing an inferior opponent, maybe they can run it up to double digits. We'll find out certainly this weekend. I'll tell you one interesting game. It's Atlanta and it's Arizona. That'll take place tonight at 9:40 p.m. Eastern, 9:59, 9:60 on the rotation. It's Sale and Gallen. And typically you'd say to yourself, like, ooh, 2 aces on the mound. Not really the case this season. Zach Gallen threw 27 1/3 innings pitched, an ERA of 5.60. Now, his xFIP number is a little bit lower at 4.42, but then you sort of slide up and say, well, what's going on with Chris Sale? 23 and a third innings pitched for him, a 6.17 ERA, but a 3.28 xFIP. So he's getting a little bit unlucky at this point. But two guys that normally lock it down, not looking so great. You look at the sides, a minus 126 favorite for the road team here. Atlanta has grown slightly to minus 134. You take a look across the board, minus 135s out there as well. A total of 8.5. Two ace pitchers, not necessarily dealing this year like aces, Joe.
Yeah, it's interesting too because we all know how bad Atlanta started this season, right? Well, Arizona wasn't exactly great either, but both teams seem to have settled down. A great homestand for Atlanta. I think they doubled their wins, right? They went 5-1 at home against the Twins and against the Cardinals. But now we got to go on the road, and Zach Gallen has always been a guy that has been better at home than he has been on the road, but he is just not, he's not missing a lot of bats so far this year, Donnie, which has gotten him into trouble here. But Corbin Carroll is an absolute monster. I believe he's leading the National League in home runs right now at 9, and he has just been on a tear. So although you have both number ones on the mound, I feel like I got to give the advantage to the home dog here in Arizona. I think both have questionable bullpens for right now, but I like the way Arizona at home is swinging the bat right now.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll's been an absolute monster in that lineup. But also keep in mind, Ketel Marte's been out a couple weeks now with that hamstring injury. When he gets back, that's a formidable lineup. Looks like it's a lot of fun. And two pitchers that, let's see if they can hold up to their ace mentality, or they just say, you know what, we're just pitching the 5 ERAs on the season. We come away with some runs. Another quick one here up in the Bronx today, Joe. Toronto and New York, 7:05 start. High total in this one, 9.5. Side, though, Carrasco, a minus 146 favorite at the opening numbers, dropped to 132. Toronto and New York, could we see some runs? Looks like the odds makers are anticipating that.
Well, if they can't hit Carrasco, the Blue Jays, then I don't know what to tell them here. But they have had some success, this Yankees lineup against Berrios, too. So I agree with the over. I'd even go first 5 over, Donnie.